let the uprising begin.
There are only two genders, and one of them is right here. It's the box that rocks. This is the Angela Box Show.
Hey, you guys. On today's show, we are going to dig in to the Somali problem in Minnesota and how there's so many pearls being clutched, but yet the American people are like, do what you got to do. So we're going to talk about that. And then we're going to discuss how the left thinks they're going to get the scalp of Pete Hegseth. Spoiler alert, they're not, but it's funny to watch them flail about. And then I've got some good show recommendations and some short story recommendations for you. If you're interested in that sort of thing, stick around to the end. That is coming up today on the Angela Box Show.
Hello, my name is Angela Box. Show your personality.
Okay, guys, this Somali migrant crap is really heating up. And honestly, this to me is a serious case of F around and find out, okay? Because for these many years, Minnesota, of all places, has become a hotbed of jihadist activity thanks to the flood of Somali migrants that were led in by Barack Obama, the first black president, and Joe Biden, a lot of which are illegal, should not be here. And now we come to find out, because of this little scandal that's brewing, where Governor Jazz Hands, Tim Walz, is in a shitload of trouble, okay? Because it has just been exposed that Tim Walz was sitting on these whistleblower accounts from the Department of Human Services in Minnesota. Like 483 employees were raising the alarm that there was massive fraud going on with Somalians to the tune of like $250 million that were taken from COVID funds and then laundered through the jihadist dirtbag Somali community in Minneapolis and St. Paul. Like, crazy. Not only that, and I'm gonna dig into this a little bit because the New York Times actually, it's bad if the New York Times is having to go, yeah, this is bad, Governor Jazz Hands. Basically, they said how fraud swamped Minnesota's social services system under Tim Walz. And again, F around and find out, because these dirtbag jihadists from the shithole country of Somalia have been dining out on our largesse for these many years, and scum and garbage humans like Ilhan Omar got to skate into Congress because of these dirtbags. So yeah, deport them all, GTFO. This is going to get interesting. But Tim Walz knew about all this. He knew that the fraud was going on. He knew that things were being diverted. And one has to ask the question, did Tim Walz get a kickback? Or, and I think this is the more likely scenario, because I don't feel like Tim Walz is smart enough to be a cagey criminal, and I don't think his net worth has suddenly exponentially jumped like so many Democrats' wealth does when they get into power. He seems to be, not that great with money. As someone who is not, I understand and I sympathize. But my point is that I think it's the latter excuse. I think it's the excuse that Tim Walz doesn't want to be seen as a racist. So he's just going to turn the other way. And not only did Tim Walz turn his back or turn the other way when it comes to this fraud because he doesn't want to be seen as a racist, because, those Somalians with 89% on welfare are really, giving back to the American people. On that quick side note, like there was one video I saw, I'm gonna let you know, I might be inserting it and I might not be able to find it, but I saw this video and this guy was like, listen, I work for the housing department or whatever, and like 9 out of 10 of Section 8 housing apartments are going to Somali migrants. Yeah, they're really contributing to the American people. So not only are they refusing to assimilate, not only are we talking about where 9 out of 10 of Section 8 housing apartments are going to Somali migrants. They're like on food stamps to a disproportionate degree compared to white Americans, and I hate to break it down like this, but like we need to start telling the truth. And obviously these are the people that Democrats are importing in so they can win elections. Like, if any of these people were wanting to vote Republican and be industrious immigrants and not need government assistance, do you think for 5 seconds that the Democrats would give a shit about any of them? Of course they wouldn't. Anyway, here's food stamps by ethnicity, and this is shocking, okay? So this is the percentage of your food stamp budget that is going towards these ethnic minorities, okay? So let's see. 45.6% of Afghan refugees or Afghan immigrants receive welfare. Somali, 42.2%. Iraqi, 34.8%. And we could go down the list here. But the point is that Somalis receive, 42% of them are on some sort of welfare. And then not to mention the Section 8 housing situation. So there's that. And then, of course, we've got, here's the cherry on the sundae, if you will, the icing on the cake. Because Tim Walz is like, look, I know I'm going to look the other way and pretend that the Somalis in my community aren't completely ripping off the American taxpayer to the tune of $250 million and like whatever. But I don't want to say anything because I don't want to look like I'm a racist because I'm literally a retard. And, you know, when President Trump called me a retard the other day on Air Force One, like, he has a point. Actually, roll that clip. Tim Walz is a retard. Roll the clip.
In that same post, you mentioned Tim Walz, and you called him what many Americans do find inoffensive or retarded. Do you stand by that claim of calling Tim Walz retarded?
Yeah, I think there's something wrong with him. Absolutely, sure.
But you don't think that...
You have a problem with him? You know what? I think there's something wrong with him. Anybody that would do what he did, anybody that would allow those people into his state and pay billions of dollars out to Somalia. We give billions of dollars to Somalia. It's not even a country because it doesn't function like a country. It's got a name, but it doesn't function like a country. Yeah, there's something wrong with Walz.
Yeah, President Trump, he's like, listen, you have zero footing here, Tim Walz, because now not only did you allow the fraud to take place, but now we know that a lot of that money was directed to the Somali terror group named Al-Shabaab. You know, one of those neighborhood-friendly little Islamist cults that tell you to convert or die, and women, you know, you better not speak in public or it's off with your head, and you better be covered up head to toe in a beekeeper outfit or a little turban beanie like Ilhan Omar, who's about to take this thing off and roll it out as like a flying carpet a la Aladdin. And I realize that my cultural stereotypes just got mixed there, but you know the point. She's getting ready to GTFO too. The point is this: Al-Shabaab. You don't think that Ilhan Omar is attached to that terror group? I think this is just getting started. So Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, is saying, listen, we're going to make sure that Governor Jazz Hands and we're going to make sure that the incompetence and the looking the other way and the purposeful ignoring of the problem in the Somali community, because these people aren't assimilating, they don't speak English, they have backwards ass beliefs, just like all radical Muslims do. And I think we need to have a come to Jesus and understand that Islam, such as it is constructed, and a real Muslim will tell you this, Islam as it is constructed is not and never will be compatible with Western civilization. And so perhaps we should start looking at the people we bring in as, representatives of Western civilization, and realizing that Western civilization is the only civilization that has created peace, prosperity, and a goodwill for many, many people for many, many centuries. But because of our tolerant views, because of our tolerance, we are now being invaded by Islam. And Islam is dead ass serious about conquering all of us. So the Somali community is, as far as I'm concerned, problem number one. And it's ironic that it's not a Middle Eastern Islamic community, but they are so concentrated. It's like Dearborn, Michigan, where there's a concentration of Middle Eastern Muslims. I would say Dearborn and Minneapolis, the two hotbeds of radical Islam in the United States that are being coddled, coddled by leftists like Jacob Frey, who's the mayor of Minneapolis. And he just let it be known the other day, you guys. He was like, those mean ICE agents, I know they're coming. I know they're like totally coming for you, and like Trump's going to round you all up. But don't worry. We're going to make sure that we're not going to cooperate with them at all. And I'm going to speak in some Somali for you. Roll that clip.
That's not American. That's not what we are about. And we're going to do right by every single person in our cities. And so to our Somali community, Daman Shabka, Somalied Kunul, Minnesota, Garahan, Minneapolis, Waan, Ku Janilahai, Waan, Ku Gereb, Taganahan.
This is the problem. We have a yet another self-hating liberal Jew, Jacob Frey, who's basically saying, you know what, I'll just bend over and get Sharia lawed right off the first roof. I'm not saying he's gay. I don't know his sexual orientation. I do know that he is a Jew, and he would get thrown off the first roof by the welcoming and lovely Somali community. Anyway, this has been festering for quite some time. And so I would also say to the Muslims in Dearborn, Michigan, hang on, your time is coming too. And President Trump, when he came out and said that we are dealing, like the people from Somalia, by and large are garbage, he meant that the people that are taking advantage of the American taxpayer and refuse to assimilate, in fact, do nothing but bitch and moan and complain about how horrible America is to them, they need to be put on high priority deportations. They need to be put to the front of the line. And I have a feeling that's exactly what's going to happen. So here's President Trump getting the left in an absolute meltdown tizzy because he said that Somalians were garbage. Roll that clip.
And we're going to go the wrong way if we keep taking in garbage into our country. Ilhan Omar is garbage. She's garbage. Her friends are garbage. These aren't people that work. These aren't people that say, let's go, come on, let's make this place great. These are people that do nothing but complain.
I guess it really goes to show you continue to poke the bear, leftist. You continue to poke the bear. You continue to F with us. You continue to import the third world because you know they'll eventually vote for you. You know that you can get them hepped up on government cheese and taxpayer bennies, and you've got Democrats for life. And you just need to get a few more of them in there to tip the balance forever, because the whole goal and the whole idea is for y'all to remain in perpetual power, getting rich off the taxpayer, getting rich off the money laundering you're doing. And who better to keep you in the slop but a bunch of illegal aliens and migrants who don't speak English, who won't assimilate, and who need government assistance. Like, it's not hard. But let's get to Ilhan Omar real quick, because she is, as I said, flip open that beanie and hop on and fly on back to Somalia, mixed metaphors notwithstanding. Ilhan Omar obviously is one of the biggest dirtbags on the national scene right now. And never forget Ilhan Omar, who Trump has been letting us know of late, married her brother and committed immigration fraud to come to the United States. And Trump's basically previewing the fact that this bitch is getting deported. Okay? This bitch, all the left is like, she's a naturalized citizen. Well, guess what, heifer? You did fraud on your immigration application. You said your brother was your husband. That's fraud. That means your ass can be denaturalized. And I wonder how long your white little cuck husband is going to stick around when your ass gets jackbooted back to Somalia. And her husband, Timmy used to be her campaign manager or her consultant or whatever. And he's some leftist prog, some soy drink inhaling lib beta cuck, and but he's not beta and cuck enough to not get that money, because when Ilhan started hiring him, why, she was giving him about, $250 grand a month or something insane, like just a crazy amount of money, because leftists are stupid and liberal white women are the bane of my existence, and I guarantee liberal white women are her number one campaign donors. And so all those liberal white women were giving her money, and then she was like, let me hire this white guy because I'm really oppressed, and pay him an ungodly amount of money. And then, you know what, for good measure, I'm going to cheat on my Muslim husband, who's the father of my kids, and I'm going to marry this guy, and he's going to divorce his white wife, and he's going to marry me because, we're married now, and he's also still my campaign manager. So, the money stays in the family. Isn't that cool? Heifer, you're getting deported. And I'm telling you, man, the party, the worldwide party we will all have when Ilhan Omar, the walking sleeper cell, the incestuous brother lover, gets deported is, I dare say Trump will declare it a national holiday. Get ready, heifer, because it's coming. All right, we'll be right back. Hi, you guys. I would like to tell you all about my friend and photographer and author of How to Keep God First in a Social Media World, which you can find on Amazon, and all-around great human, Alan Bates. And Alan is your healthcare solution guy. Go to yourhealthbenefitsolution.com. If you're freaking out about your premiums, which why wouldn't you? Because Obamacare is collapsing, and it was always meant to collapse. But he can help you find the best prices for your family. And open enrollment is going on right now. So just get in touch with Alan at yourhealthbenefitsolution.com or give him a call at 713-824-4636. That's 713-824-4636. His name is Alan Bates. He's an amazing guy. Give him a call and let him help you out with the nightmare of open enrollment. And tell him I sent you. Do it today. All right, that was a long segment, but fear not, this one's going to be a little shorter because this is just so stupid. I receive the Daily Beasts updates every day, and this afternoon, this was the nugget they came out with, and it's about Pete. I'm going to just give you a spoiler alert. It's about Pete Hegseth, and they all definitely think that a bunch of Democrats calling for his resignation means like he's on his way out. But if they were somewhat savvy about the ways of Trump, because they've been wrong about literally everything. Obviously, the fake news media is just, it's whack-a-mole with all the bullshit they come out with, okay? And they've been wrong so many times that I guess the calculus is that the useful idiots that listen and watch them are not going to do any other research other than the bullshit they tell them. So they just assume, I know that we've been like lied to for these many years, but I'm still going to believe them because, orange man bad, whatever. These people are retarded. All right. Just like Governor Jazz Hands. Anyway, Daily Beast came out with all the reason it looks like Hegseth's going to be fired. And again, if they were savvy, if they were smart, they would start talking about what a great job Pete Hegseth is doing. And you know who else is doing just an amazing job is Kash Patel. Like, we are so lucky to have Kash Patel on the scene. And we're so lucky to have Tulsi at DNI and Dan Bongino and John Ratcliffe and Scott Bassett. And we are just, this is the most substantial cabinet we've ever seen. And President Trump is batting 1,000. If these people had any semblance of self-awareness, because they have to do the opposite of Trump no matter what he does. If they said something positive about him, maybe every once in a while, maybe their total bullshit articles and their total bullshit headlines that they come out with like on an hourly basis would have a little more credence. But they're, again, they just assume the people that listen and watch them are going to, suck up the pablum like we know they always do. All right, here we go. President Donald Trump is facing growing pressure to make Pete Hegseth the first major casualty of his second term after the Pentagon chief was accused of putting his own troops in danger. Bullshit. A damning report on the Signalgate scandal reportedly laid the blame on Hegseth for compromising sensitive war plans. Okay, this whole Signal thing that came out a few months ago, where Hegseth and everyone on the damn chats, like, there were no war plans given. Shut the fuck up. Like, no. So anyway, this is bullshit. It's bullshit. All right? It's bullshit. Because these are anonymous sources. And of course, they have this picture of Hegseth looking like they're a deranged maniac. And then, of course, they have to talk about Hegseth's giving the orders to bomb a bunch of narco-terrorists, which next to Trenda Agua and next to Somali migrants who refuse to assimilate and love them some jihad, next to those people, these are the Democrats' core constituencies, evidently. Narco-terrorists. So they're riding and dying for them. And they obviously think that Pete Hegseth going and giving permission to his admiral to basically do what you gotta do, dude. Like, do what you gotta do. Get rid of them, no matter how many attempts it takes. So this is their latest stupid outrage. With, the Seditious Six, the group that just magically got on the same script at the exact same time, and op-eds are coming out, and all the leftists are getting their ducks in a row, and it's just completely organic. Anyway, these people seem to think that the American people feel bad for narco-terrorists who are trafficking drugs and human beings into this country. And they think that the American people have a problem with Trump blowing these narco-terrorists out of the waters in international waters that does not violate any international law. They seem to think that the American people would have a problem with Pete Hegseth giving orders to his generals and admirals, like, basically, do what you got to do. So the fact that it took 2 attempts to kill a bunch of narco-terrorists in September on one of the strikes, nobody gives a shit, okay? You people are taking the 10% of every single issue. And Rand Paul's out there doing the same thing. For what reason, I do not know. It is really quite extraordinary. And, I didn't see any of you clutching your pearls when Obama droned civilians in Kabul, or Bush, pretended to, whatever Bush did, whatever, Obama, what am I saying? Of course, what am I saying? Bush was Hitler, of course. Bush was Hitler before Trump was Hitler, okay? What am I saying? And now they love George W. Bush, which tells you everything you need to know about the deep state. No, when Obama was bombing people, when Biden was bombing people, I didn't give a shit. Like, whatever, bombs away. But now, of course, that Trump is eliminating narco-terrorists from the world and pardoning former Honduran leaders. This, real quick, the pardon of former Honduran president, I don't know his name, doesn't matter, not the point. The guy that Joe Biden, of all people, who flung open the border and allowed 12 million people just to flood in, unvetted, on welfare, no clue, moving them all over the country to red states and red communities, and culturally enriching us all. The Biden administration decided to convict this guy of drug trafficking, the former president of Honduras. Now, Honduras just had an election, all right? And Honduras is now thinking that people are not paying attention. And this is how bad it must have been for the communists, because the Trump endorsed candidate, a guy named Tito, I can't think of his last name, not the point. Tito was well ahead, running away with it. And what'd they do on election night? They shut everything down at midnight, you guys, because, we're just super tired over here. Like, we have to go night-night. I don't know, I'm old enough to remember exactly, they did the exact same thing in 2020. Anyway, here's the point. Biden decided to charge this former president with drug trafficking, whatever, because he was not an ally of Biden. He was more of a Trump allied type of person, from what I understand. And they threw this guy into jail for 40 years. Well, Trump just pardoned him. And of course, the left is flipping out about this. Again, you have to understand, Joe Biden put this guy in jail because he was Trump aligned, because he knew the shit, okay? And this guy, like many, many, many other Latin American leaders since the time of Reagan, have been basically embedded with our CIA as the CIA was running drugs through the world. So there was no war on drugs, obviously, and every president was complicit until this one, because this one is not effing around, okay? He is blowing narco terrorists out of the water. He has designated all of them as foreign terrorist organizations, which means we can go get them wherever the hell they are. And he is making sure that this guy gets pardoned so he can spill the beans on all of them, okay? Spill the beans on our government's complicity in flooding the border with people and drugs and basically destabilizing the United States, okay? So that is what's happening there. Now, we know that the Democrats, they have really nothing. And unfortunately, the Republicans are such spineless cowards that they will not do what President Trump wisely is telling them to do and get rid of the filibuster so we can actually put some laws on the books that President Trump will sign that will actually secure our elections next year. But the dirty little secret, of course, is that a good plurality of them, I'd say probably 30 to 40% of them, don't want us to win the midterms, want to torpedo the Trump administration and torpedo the MAGA movement. So, of course, they're not going to get rid of the filibuster. They're going to use the whole bullshit of, well, it's, the Senate is a group of gentlemen. And, we have gentlemen's agreements, not fully understanding that the minute the Democrats win, they're getting rid of the filibuster. Anyway, the point is that we have a president who actually now wants to fight the war on drugs, like for real fight the war on drugs, not play act fight the war on drugs, like you can see in the show Narcos. Not play act, actually do some shit and destroy these people. And there's a lot of people in power who do not want to see that. Let's keep it 100 on both sides of the aisle. So, eyes open, Pete Hegseth. Make sure you have a royal food taster because they want to get rid of your ass. But don't worry, the more they scream, the more Trump is going to support you. So I think you're good. All right, we'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, I have told you about Frey Organics for these many months. And if you have not seen my skin overload these many months, you will even have to say, Angela, I know you're years old, but like your skin is glowing, like legit glowing. And even my husband said, your skin is glowing. What are you doing? I said, I'm using Frey. And then he goes, I want some too. So we started both using Frey Organics, and I cannot recommend it more, you guys. I honestly can't. And I have a promo code for you. If you go to their website, freyaorganics.com, and put in the code AngelaBoxShow, you're going to get $15 off your first order. And what's great is that you can go on the website and you can see the before and after pictures. And it really is quite dramatic. And honestly, I'm going to use this stuff forever and ever. It is all organic. It is made with the Icelandic woman in mind who has to deal with a very harsh climate. So unbelievably nourishing, age reversing, gorgeous stuff, you guys. Can't recommend them more. freyaorganics.com/AngelaBoxShow, $15 off your first order. Do it. I wanted to give you guys a little update on stuff I'm watching. And some people think this is the most boring. And some people legit are emailing me and telling me what they're watching. So it's just give a little recommendation around here. I mean, let me just stipulate, if you've not listened to my recommendations before, I'm going to give you a few. Here's a little bit about Ange and things that Angela can't stand. Okay. Things that Angela can't stand. Number one, CGI. Okay. I'm not into dragons. I don't care about fantasy. I barely will watch anything that involves, even if it's human-like CGI, like, for example, the show Yellow Jackets, which I tried to pick up season 3 today, and I was like, I literally cannot. We're all done here with that. But there's a lot of CGI. So that's the number one thing. Number two, I hate hackneyed, syrupy girl shows like Emily in Paris or Gilmore Girls or The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel or, Firefly Lane or any of that crap. The Hallmark Channel, if there's ever someone that kidnaps me and like is trying to get information out of me, well, spoiler alert, like I will give it up the minute you stomp on my toe. Okay, so don't worry about that. You don't have to go to the length of playing me like a Hallmark Channel marathon. All right, I will tell you what you want to know. So there's that. I also hate excessive action movies, excessive action shows. It's lazy writing. It's lazy storytelling. Much like I hate extended guitar solos. Same vibe. I also do not like period romances like Bridgerton, which I guess could also be a girl show. I do not like woke anything. If something is woke, I will immediately turn it off unless the show is absolutely a banger. So basically that era of 2017 to 2020 is real iffy. I won't watch a show that's generally speaking under a 7 on IMDb, and if it's at the border of a 6.9, 6.7 to 7.2, you gotta read the damn reviews, you guys, because sometimes there will be some woke crap shoehorned in there, and the reviewers will tell on the show. And of course, something else I hate, as anyone knows by now, are Taylor Sheridan shows. Let me remind you what this douche looks like on a regular basis on the red carpet. His shows are awful, okay? They are obvious. They are hackneyed. They are soapy. Not in a good way, but I really take myself super serious. I'm an artist way. And anyone that is that douchey, like, I can't get down for. I mentioned the only Taylor Sheridan show that I think is worth anything is Mayor of Kingstown. Let's see, what else do I not like? I do not appreciate bad acting, bad storytelling, lazy storytelling. I do not like to see actors whose faces are completely frozen. Listen, I love me some Botox, okay? But if you're an actor, we need to see your face move, okay? So all that being said, those are just a few of the ground rules, okay? Recently, I was recommended All Her Fault. Now, on paper, this should have been great. We have Sarah Snook, I think that's her name, from Succession. Great actress, Australian actress, never plays Australian. She's very, very good. Jake Lacey, who's also really good, up and coming. There's Abby Elliott, who's cute, but she looks a little schlumpy and frumpy, if you know what I mean. Then there was actors that I wasn't aware of, but Michael Pena was in it. So I was like, okay, this is a great cast. And the premise was really good. Oh, and Dakota Fanning, who's always really good. The actors were great. I have no complaints about the actors that are on this show. The complaint stems from the less than exciting twist and the forced, contrived emotional scenes that happened later in the series. And let's just put it this way. When you see Jake Lacey in a show, except for The Office, you kind of know the type he's going to be playing, if you catch my drift. I don't want to give it away for you if you're just dying to see that show. But remember this. Jake Lacey does not play against type in this show. So I just thought overall it was lazy. I thought Michael Pena phoned it in because they gave Michael Pena nothing to do. Although he was good, it was a paycheck. And I felt like it was a paycheck for this whole cast, except for the up-and-coming actors who no doubt think this is their breakthrough. Anyway, it wasn't great. I give it a 6. All right. Now, on the flip side of that coin, I was also recommended A Beast in Me. The Beast in Me. The Beast in Me is on Netflix. Y'all, holy shit. It's so good. So let me give you the premise. Claire Danes, check. Matthew Rhys, check. Natalie Morales, who's good, who's really good. And I'm trying to think if there's anyone else that. Brittany Snow's in it, and she was recently in that Murdoch thing, which I also highly recommend. Murder in the Family with Jason Clarke and Patricia Arquette, which I talked about before. Anyway, Beast in Me. The premise is Matthew Rhys, who BT dubs, has some of the worst boot polish in his hair I have literally ever seen. It's almost blue in some scenes. It's so black. It looks terrible. But all that being said, Matthew Rhys is an actor. Matthew Rhys is an actor, okay? Matthew Rhys doesn't play a version of Matthew Rhys in everything, all right? He's an actor, and he is phenomenal in this. Now, on the flip side of that coin, Claire Danes. Claire Danes does not strike me as the type that has much of a range, because Claire Danes is once again playing a very anxiety-filled, chin warbling, very anxious character. Much like Carrie Mathison in Homeland. I mean, I get it, sort of, but like, can you make it a little more different, Claire Danes? And they uglied her up. And this poor woman, she needs a chemical peel and go back to blonde hair stat. And she needs some Botox. Like, it's starting to look rough. Even though I know I just said actors shouldn't do Botox. I mean, a little Botox is fine, but like, she needs it. This is a 911 call for Claire Danes. Although I understand her character is not that way. Whatever. It's so good, you guys. Highly recommend it. So, of all that, The Beast in Me this week, we've really liked. Now, a couple other things I wanted to tell you about before we get to the interview. When I was in high school, I went to a Catholic prep school called Bishop McGuinness, okay? The story goes, and I'm not humble bragging, this is really what happened. I was in a public junior high, and I was really excited because in 8th grade, I'd lost a bunch of weight, and I was starting to get cute, and I was like hanging out with my popular friends that I had known in elementary school, and I was never in the popular group, like ever. I was friends with kind of a lot of people, but junior high, I was heavy, and my hair was really short, and it was brown, and it was like the only time in my life that I've ever been an introvert. So when I'd lost all this weight in 8th grade, and my friends were wanting to, and these really popular girls were wanting to hang out with me, I was really excited because I was, the funny friend or whatever. My mother pulled me aside, and she told me one day, she goes, listen, your father and I, and my parents are divorced, or were divorced, your father and I have talked about it, and you're really smart, and we're sending you to McGuinness, which is where they went. And McGuinness is a private Catholic prep school. And I was really upset for a minute, but when I tell you that my high school years, my years at McGuinness were the most memorable, the most dear to me, for real, even though there were lots of ups and downs, I wouldn't trade any of those 4 years for anything. One of the things I loved about McGuinness is that we read really interesting short stories. So in AP English, there was this book, and I still have it. It's on the book. That's on the bookshelf back there. It was an anthology curated by a guy named Lawrence Perrine, and we would always joke, be like, "What's Larry Perrine recommending it to us today?" So two of the stories that have always stuck with me, The Lottery by Shirley Jackson and The Swimmer by John Cheever. You can find them on YouTube. I decided to listen to them the other day after I listened to this Truman Capote short story, Miriam, because I'm listening to his biography. Miriam's really good too. But I was transported back to how I felt and how much those stories affected me. There was that story, those two stories, and then like a rose for Emily, which is also super creepy. Those I would highly recommend. So if you're taking a walk and you want something interesting and meaningful and not phoned in to listen to, look up The Lottery by Shirley Jackson and The Swimmer by John Cheever. All right, those are my recs.